Simple things to consider when looking at Industry 4.0 solutions in legacy. So be very clear on what budget you're going to allocate to it. Also be very clear on who the stakeholders are going to be, who is going to own the project, who is going to drive the project, what people are going to be involved. Please make sure that they are all involved and they all have some say, so it's not a shock to them. Be clear on your time frame. Most people try and look for breaks in production to do the installations, so you need to consider that. Define the project clearly. What assets, what equipment do you want to monitor, and how will you use the data? Make sure you understand the data variables. What are the upper and lower limits? What information do you want to collect and how are you going to use it? Performance, what is the sensing range of your data? So you need to be clear on that. Data sampling, how often, what's the frequency of your review of this data? Connectivity, do you have internet connection in the area of the equipment? You need to sort of be very clear. Is it there? Do you want it? Do you need it? Power, is there a power source near the equipment? Makes sense, obviously you need to do it, although these days there's plenty of battery operation equipment and they last a long time these days, so there's always a solution in case you run into a problem, but obviously provide the simplest solution first. The environment, you need to consider the environment that the equipment's in. Is it indoors or outdoors? It has a great bearing on it. Is there steel girders and structures inside your factory that will impact on your Wi-Fi and connectivity? So you need to look at a lot of things, and the more you look at it in advance before you go and see a supplier, the less hurdles you'll have to overcome later on. So here's some simple questions you should ask a solution supplier when looking at Industry 4.0. I would use this as a template and try, whatever way you do it, try and stick to the same method. Try and get the answers down so that you can pick the 2 sheets up or 3 sheets depending on how many people you're going to involve or suppliers. What you want to do is across each question or questioning sets, score them so that you kind of score them and take notes, and then you start to build up a portfolio then really of knowledge, how to compare companies and the pros and cons of different systems. Obviously the system for you will be the one that probably works best, I guess. Not always the money option. The cheapest one might not do what you want. So the questions I'm going to run through, I'm not going to go into detail because, to be fair, that's what the supplier is supposed to do here, but these are the typical questions you should be asking. What sets them apart from others? Do they offer training, updates, etc.? Are they to have a phone support service? All these different sort of things. Can they come and do the install on site? Whatever you want. Can they demonstrate on site with an existing process? If they can, then that's brilliant. The other thing that you're going to do is, if they can demonstrate on site, get them to demonstrate on site. If you can, encourage them to leave the product with you so that you can see it running over a longer period. Often the product works brilliantly when they're handling it, not so brilliant when people with less training handle it. So the longer you can have it, the more you can test the robustness of it. Understand what IoT data analyticals are available, and very importantly, how customizable the IoT dashboards are. Whatever you do, you'll probably inevitably want to change the displays for different reasons at some stage. If you cannot customize it, it's a bit awkward because it means you can't really update it as much as you want. Understand very, very clearly how the data collection works. You need to be very, very sure about this. You need to understand how the IoT platform monitor and control connected devices. That is important. For example, if there's a power cut, what happens to data? What happens to data? I'll give you a for instance. I use battery smart tooling. If there's a power cut, the tool can keep on working and it stores it in its memory and it waits for it to come back online. If there's a time period, if it hasn't come on after so many, maybe 10 minutes or so many uses of this tool, it will shut the tool down. The data will be stored. The minute it's back up and reconnected, so we're back online, it will download that data. So the data is not lost. You need to know things like that. How does the platform handle IoT security? You need to know that, obviously. This is where you need to know your system and you need to know how secure their system is, and the protocols of the platform. Again, you need to know the protocols being used. Obviously, if it's something called open source, you can add almost anything to your system. If they're specialist platforms, then they're more restricted, and you need to just have a good discussion there about it. Then what devices can be connected? Again, need to be clear. Is it tooling? Is it just sensors? Is it certain sensors? Is it only one particular brand? Need to be very clear. The storage, what storage options are available for your data? Now you're getting more organized. You need to be storing your data in cloud. So you need to understand how that works. Don't have to do it with these people maybe, but you need to understand where the data is being stored. If you're storing it on site, it's a huge risk. So be very clear. Ask about licensing. It might not involve licensing, but do you need licensing? You need to be very clear on licensing, because that is a cost that will be ongoing, and it's a variable. So you need to be absolutely sure about that. How frequent are the updates? Are they included? Very, very important. Really, updates should be included, at least for a time period. That's usually what's discussed. Request a clear quote and time frame defined so you can compare all this information. The one thing I haven't put on here that I think I should have mentioned is payments. Ask them about their payment terms. Generally, if it's a bigger project, I would not expect to be paying them for all of it up front. I would be expecting to split it into 3 payments. So obviously, initial order, initial delivery and test, and then the final one where it's satisfactory. So you need to be have that agreed right up front. So bringing it to a conclusion, we've given you an outline of how to move forward. I think it's quite evident that we have to change in manufacturing. Brexit and COVID-19 are drumming home the message very clearly that things cannot stay the same. They have to change, and now is the time to do it. We just have to do it, and do it as quickly as possible. But we have to be knowledgeable in the way we change. Again, if there's any interest and you feel that you want to share information with a group, contact me. I'm always looking for speakers, always looking for places to take the groups, always willing to talk to you about apprenticeships or engineering problems. I'm available all the time. Feel free, ask me questions, emails below, and thank you very much for your time. Hope to see you soon.